The chief exec of the Mancunian Way charity is Nick Buckley, who joins us now. Hi to you, Nick. I was keen to talk to you today because I know you are happy. Well, not happy. You're willing to talk about something which I noticed an hour ago with somebody from a charity. There was a sort of reluctance to discuss, and that is something which infuriates a lot of working class folk. That idea that yes, there are people in extreme poverty who need our help. And there are others, whether they're in organised crime or on the fringes of it, or whether they just aspire an opportunity to make a bit of extra cash. And these figures seem to demonstrate that's rising a bit.
First of all, I'm the former chief exec at Mancunian Way, so I'm not working for the charity anymore, just so people don't have a go at the charity. This is just one of those subjects that's a can of worms that nobody really wants to talk about, and politicians really don't want to look into that can because they know what's in there. Fraud in the benefit system is tremendous. I know your guest just said then that the general public overestimate it, and the reason why he thinks they overestimate it, the reason why I know it happens, is the people I speak to. The vast majority of people I've ever spoken to who claim state benefits at some time have been fraudulent. And it may be a small thing, the partner who moves in with them, or they did a bit of extra work and didn't declare it, but it happens all the time. The whole system was fit for purpose 70 years ago. It's not fit for purpose now. And we're still trying to make people work within this system. And it's turning people into beggars. It's not helping them. It's harming them.
Nick, I'm going to come back to you for what you think can be done to reform the system in a second, but I'm going to bring in Kirsten Hamilton with her thoughts on this one. Christine, beggars, says Nick Buckley. It's strong language, but I always take Nick very seriously because he's walking the walk within the charity work he's done and the people he's worked with.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's down there at the coalface, or was. Beggars is a very strong word, but there are an awful lot of people who live a dependency life and they just expect everything to be provided for them. And you see this is a generational thing, and people grow up into households where their parents, their grandparents, etc. And this idea that the state's going to pay for everything is very, very corrosive. And this is, I said earlier, you see somebody next door in a hard-working household seeing the next-door neighbours getting more than they are, and they never move their arses, if you'll excuse the expression, outside the front door. It just all arrives in a sort of cartload of money, and no wonder. But what I don't know is, it's obviously, checking up on all this is expensive, just like means testing is expensive, and there must be some sort of curve which shows that putting more money into checking whether benefits are going in the right place, there'll come a moment when that is money well spent and fraud will go down. Now, that's something for an expert.
The Ofcom regulator, I'm not sure what their language guide is, but maybe I'll just say, whatever. Mind your language or something.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's go back to Nick Buckley.
Anatomical phrase.
Exactly. Nick, how would you change things? How does reform happen?
First of all, we need to ask the question, what is our benefit system for? But no one can answer that question. What is it for? Is it to make sure people don't starve to death? Is it to make sure that we don't see people living on the streets, which we do anyway? Or is it to make sure we feel better about ourselves, that we chipped into a system? So we need to answer that question. To tackle this now, this is the wrong time because we're in the middle of a crisis. We have to change our welfare system when the country is doing excellent, when we have excess money. Because to fix something costs money. If you've got a hole in your roof, you don't fix it when you're unemployed. You fix it 6 months later when you've got a job, because it's going to cost you money. And we need to look at our system and we need to say, how are we going to improve the lives of people who end up coming into this system? And I want a welfare state, so don't misrepresent me thinking I don't want it. I want to reform it. So let's look at how we're going to improve the lives of these people. We need to pull it all the way back to school, because many schools producing children who are going to go straight onto benefits and remain on there. So how do we break that? How do we break the intergenerational dependency? And it's all about, for me, aspirations and dreams. And once you start signing on and once you're on benefits, all your dreams and aspirations are sucked away, and you end up going, this is all that life can offer me, and I should be grateful for this. Yeah. And it's a shame that we're killing people in this country by ripping away their dreams and aspirations, and they can achieve so much more with a little bit of help. Because us three didn't get where we were today without people helping us and supporting us to get here.
Christine, this might seem an odd thing to say in the world of Twitter, but actually I just wonder whether it's become slightly bad manners to even address this subject. Now, I'm really struck today by the fact we've got this figure, 5 million quid for a windfall tax. Now, we've been discussing that windfall tax for weeks, and the windfall tax in the papers tomorrow will get loads of traction and coverage and acres of newsprint. The 5 billion quid that's gone on universal credit fraud over the last year, I would suggest to both of you, and Christine, give me your thoughts, will get very little attention.
Well, it jolly well ought to get attention. I mean, it's a scandal. It's an absolute scandal that there's that amount of criminal fraud in the benefit system. I mean, OK, the odd person, might get away with the odd 20 quid here or there, but it's criminal fraud what's going on. I mean, 5 billion is a huge amount of money. I don't know how many people that represents. That will be interesting. That may be in the figures somewhere, but it ought to get a massive amount of attention because it's something the government could have attended to or should be attending to, and then they wouldn't have had to impose what I think is an iniquitous tax, a windfall tax.
Kirsten Hamilton, Nick Buckley, thanks both.